you. Are you ready? No, I think we can do it better. I want to hear you loud and proud. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, it all comes down to this. 16 of the world's best teams have come to LA with the same goal: win it all and make history.
Welcome to episode 3 of This Week in Valorant. There's a lot to talk about this week. This episode is going to be dense, so let's get started. Let's start with the biggest news that has hit the Valorant scene. It literally just dropped yesterday. VCT Americas just announced that the Guard, who were winners of the inaugural VCT Ascension tournament, will not be joining the franchise league next year. According to a statement made by VCT Americas, the Guard failed to meet the deadline to agree to the team participation agreement, and so they will not be promoted. Riot also announced that there will not be an 11th team joining the league next year, so M80, who came in second place in the tournament, is also left out. Riot released a statement saying that the Guard had multiple follow-ups and chances to sign, and they didn't. And that came from a statement from Leo, who's the head of esports for Valorant within Riot Games, essentially saying the Guard had plenty of chances. They had 2 months. They had multiple follow-ups, and they failed to meet the agreement in time, so they are not accepted into the franchise league. And so I think there are a couple things at play here that need to be considered. The first thing is that it's silly. In my opinion, it's outrageously silly that this has been going on for months. Conversations between Riot and the Guard for months, and people are just now finding out. It's so outrageously silly that the players had to find out that the last 6 months, 7 months, year of their lives that they've spent working together, scrimming, grinding, putting in the time to win Ascension, finally winning Ascension, and then finding out that you didn't make partnership. It's outrageously silly that they find out because of Twitter, of all places. I mean, there are players who were tweeting. I think Net tweeted it. That's how they found out. They found out on Twitter that the dreams that they've been working towards for the last year, are crushed. It's so silly that the org is the team that gets this, is the entity that gets the partnership slot. So technically, because of the way things work, Riot agreed with the Guard. The org, the Guard. Not the players, the Guard. Or anything like that. So if the Guard decides that they want to screw the players over, guess what? They can. And they have. It's also outrageously silly that there are no protections in place for the players here. In a situation like this, I really hope Riot will learn from this and make sure that there are protections in place for players next time or moving forward so stuff like this doesn't happen. And yes, I understand that it's a complicated conversation to have, because how do you protect players while also having an agreement with the org? Where do you draw the line on what the protection for the players are? And there are solutions out there. I think you can have some sort of like 3/5 rule where if a team makes partnership or something like that, you have to maintain at least 3/5 of the roster in order for it to stay. And if you don't, then that's on the org's fault and you lose the spot or something like that. There are ways to solve this problem where there are still protections to the players and it's not just the org and the players are getting screwed. If this is about, this is a long rant. I have a lot of thoughts here. If this is about the Guard being pressed that they aren't getting gun skins or they're not getting the same percentage of Champs Bundle revenue or whatever it is, I think Leo's most recent statement reveals a lot. You have no excuse if you're the Guard. You knew what the situation was when you signed up a year ago. When you agreed to do this, when you got accepted, when all of this happened, you knew what your percentage was going to be on Champs Bundle revenue. You knew that you weren't going to get a gun skin, and that was only the partner team. So if this is some sort of like a last minute holdout to stick it to Riot for not treating us like the other partnership teams, you knew what you were getting into bed with. So you're screwing your players because of something that you knew, and you have now no leg to stand on. This is just so outrageously infuriating, and to be perfectly clear, I don't think Riot are faultless in this. They have the power and they have the ability to make all of this go away And the easiest way for them to do that would be to allow another team, another org, to sign the guard. And yes, Leo's statement says that it sets a dangerous precedent because you don't want to get into the habit of being able to sell partnership spots or guest slots in partnership, whatever you want to call it. I get it. I agree. That's a very slippery slope that you want to go down. But there are ways to go around that, right? You are the end-all, be-all of this entire system, you being Riot. You can make an exception. And I know that you don't want to start with an exception. But given that you are who you are, you have the ability to make an exception and make sure stuff like this doesn't happen in the future when it comes to selling slots or things like that. There are ways around this. And maybe there's more... maybe there are more legal implications that they know about that we don't know about, and that's why they're being super, super careful with this. And yeah, maybe that's the case. I have no idea. All I know is that from the information that's out there now, Riot are not faultless in this either, but holy smokes, the guard are a bloody joke. And I'm sure there are good people in there, but this, I mean, what's going on behind closed doors? How do you not tell your team? How do you not tell your team? You've been doing this for 2.5 months. It's very, very frustrating. It's very, very silly. Again, it's not just the guard that are at fault. Riot have a couple of things that they can be doing differently here as well. But what a joke. What a joke of an org. A couple of additional thoughts to this rant here. I know that there are a lot of people who have been saying, well, why doesn't M80 just get the spot? That I personally don't think that's an unreasonable take. My beef with it, though, is that M80 didn't win Ascension. And I understand these are very rare, these are very extenuating circumstances, but from my perspective, I think the more ideal solution would be to make an exception and allow another org to sign the guard. The roster, the players from the guard. The guard itself as an org can go away and never come back. I'm sure there are really good eggs in there. But whatever's happening behind closed doors at the guard is just a total disaster. I understand wanting to get M80 in, and I don't hate that idea, but I'm a bit more torn on it. But again, this is another instance where Riot does have the ability to alleviate some of what's going on. It would still feel pretty miserable though, because this is still not. It's still not fair to the guard players, which I think those are the ones we need to be solving for first. And if you still can't find a way around that, then no, actually, I don't even hate the thought of America's being with 10 teams and everyone else having 11. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. My beef with this is you have to find a way to make right by the players on the guard. I think that needs to be problem number one that's solved. And the rest of it is notably smaller, in my opinion. The end of Valorant Champions marked the beginning of Rostermania, and there have already been a couple of really notable bombs to kick off the season. The guard situation is a perfectly good example of that. In other notable moves, specifically in Americas, Finesse and Sam have both stated on their streams that they're done with NRG. They're currently sitting on the bench, and their future is surrounded by question marks right now.
I will not be competing on NRG's starting lineup. I am a sub as of right now, and then I will probably be done playing with them after that contract is up. And I'm gonna focus on streaming for now, and then if an opportunity presents itself where I'm able to compete, then I will do that. But to be able to do that, it's like a lot of time, a lot of effort to create your own team and stuff like that. Like for example, Envy took like fucking forever to make. So I'm going to take my time, try streaming, see if I enjoy it. If I do enjoy it, then I will continue to stream. And yeah, I'll probably miss competing, which is why I'm not saying I'm retiring, because I feel like that's such a definite thing.
This does not mean we are retiring. This does not mean we are retiring. I repeat.
Chat, it's just hard. Okay, I'm gonna be serious for a second. It's hard as fuck to create a team and have an org back an entire team when orgs want to keep players on their old rosters as well. Like, orgs want to build lineups around like 2 or 3 of their like players, right? So even if they make changes, at most they'll make 1 or 2 changes. Whereas I want a whole ass squad. Like, I want to be able to create my team, which is what I did when I was on Envy. So if an org takes a chance on that and on me, then I will do it.
Both of them have announced that unless they are able to essentially be given the keys to create a championship team from the ground, they're no longer interested, and they're just going to be concerned on streaming for now and building their own brand. So the possibility of an America season where we don't have Finesse, who, yeah, he might be the best IGL in all of Americas, top 3 IGL, top 5 IGL in the world, is not going to be around. Who he was one of the first. He was around since the Envy days, and then the Optic days, and now the NRG days. There's the possibility that he's not playing next year. And then Sam, who was obviously a newcomer, but very well could have, maybe should have been in the running for MVP for Americas, is also not going to be playing. Again, unless something happens and they're given the keys to create a roster, Finesse and Sam would be a package deal. But as of this moment, both of them are sitting on the bench and will not be playing next year. Fury have also announced that DG's in, QCK, and Carlao, the trio from the Brazilian squad, have been let go, and they're open to explore other opportunities. Who knows where they're going to go, but you see the tweets right here. Again, QCK and DG's in and Carlao out for Furia. The questions around where they're going to go in their future is up for grabs as well. In the EMEA side of things, Scream has announced that Carmine Core, the roster, has been shut down. You see the tweet right here. For those of you who know French, by all means, go nuts. But effectively, the statement says that the roster has been shut down. The future of this roster is entirely unknown. Who knows what's going to happen to those players and where they end up. Carmine Core was often talked about a lot this year for reasons that you don't want to be talked about if you're a team. But yeah, the future of that squad is up in the air right now. And then lastly, and this one is personally heartbreaking one, fan favorites Paper Rex confirmed during Valorant Champions. It was actually Coach Alex who confirmed it. But the news is that Jing from Paper Rex has played his last tournament, and that last tournament was Valorant Champions. He's going to have to step away to serve military service in Singapore. So Jing, one of the most electric raises in the entire tournament, probably top 3 best raises in the world, will not be playing for Paper Rex next year. He has to serve his military service in Singapore and will not be around.
Honestly, at the start of this year, I kind of already had an idea that this might be my last year playing. Everyone in Singapore has to go to the army, and I'm of that age right now. Of course, I'm scared and like anxious. I don't know what's like waiting in front of my life, but I just wanted to give it my all, like really all, so I wouldn't have any regrets.
Jing holds the line. Oh! The transfer comes in. The defuse is there, and we are not done yet.
Everything was like surreal. I would have never expected to be in the grand finals of a Champions. Copenhagen, it was like our peak. There was a world where we actually won the grand finals. Champions, we bombed out, we didn't even get into playoffs. Lock-in, we lost first round. It was like rock bottom. It was like a really big moment for all of us, so I think all of us really woke up. Before I joined Paper Rex, I was like really quiet and I was always like just doing my own thing, but now, I don't know, I just feel like I've grown a lot to become like a better person now.
This core has been together for so long, but that big global trophy has always eluded them. But you gotta think this time around, this is their chance.
It's more than just trophies. You know, like we need to grow up as good people, and we need to just have as much fun as we can.
If this is my real last tournament and I never come back, just proud of everyone in my team for going through this journey with me. I hope the fans just remember like this era of Paper X. But if I win, I think it will be a really great ending for me.
The rest is history.
And that brings us back to Valorant Champions. Again, Paper X with Jing no longer around. Such a sad story because that was his last tournament. They came up short, second place at Champs. But again, that takes us back to the biggest event of the year. Evil Geniuses made history and took home the trophy at Champs 2023 by taking down Paper X 3-1 in the grand finals at the Kia Forum.
Towards heaven, Demon 1 turns around, takes him down. Something's gone, and now for the fall. Oh my God! Above and beyond. This was never meant to be the map they started out. Oh Christ! Cracked open here for Paper X. Maybe this is the time they can break through. Maybe not. Demon 1 is out of this world. EG, map 1.
A confident opener to this series.
3 on the other side. First found, second follow-up. Ethan holding them back. Oh, and a third! Recovering what looked like a lost round!
What?
Busio and Com trying to keep control. Swing, a miss. Com on the trade, but he finds Forsaken. As a shot done, it's huge. Something is bleeding, but he's still standing and still fighting. And here it comes, the swing and a miss from D1, and something is absolutely demonic right now. Paper X, map 2's theirs. Looking like they want to get into things as well. A 1-for-1 trade, Busio lost and oh my God, Forsaken's gone down as well. Jorgamo's just unleashing fury. Look at the damage that man's doing. But EG relentless, look at this pace from Jorgamo. He wants this done, he wants the next map. He's looking at Lotus already. Unbelievable performance, EG delivers it. They take the lead in the best of 5. Busio's the one to do the first, instantaneous and clear cut. Busio, what is going on? Oh my good God! Still has the Viper's Pit, just gonna come through. That denies any access.
What the hell was that?
In my life, seen anything like that. Damage, take away Ethan, chip away, but it's still just 3, and with the operator, it's brutal to try and play it. Jorgamo getting aggressive, and oh, he's just adding bodies to the count. Jorgamo unleashing fury.
He's ridiculous today.
Come on, baby! Let's go, man!
It's all over! EG are your Valorant World Champions!
From zero to hero across this year, Lauren. What a story for these guys. You can see what it means to them as well.
What started off as a season of misery ends in a season of infamy. Give it up for your 2023 World Champions, Evil Geniuses!
It was such a historic moment because there's so much of a story to this squad. Potter, the head coach of EG, just made history for being the most decorated woman in esports ever, and it's not even close. Evil Geniuses almost missed a shot at even qualifying for Tokyo. They almost didn't even get a chance to attempt to qualify for Tokyo. The only reason they made it in was because some coach from MIBR knifed a member from 100 Thieves to keep 100 Thieves out of the playoff run and let EG get in. The EG story is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard in all of esports. 124 days before they're lifting the trophy in front of a sold-out Kia Forum, they got 0-13 by Loud. Talk about the lowest of lows. 124 days later, you're at the very top of the Valorant ecosystem. You're at the top of the world. It's just freaking ridiculous. Again, congratulations to Evil Geniuses. Very excited to see what happens with them next year, and a well-deserved break for those players. With champs behind us, Valorant has a brand new map. Sunset, based in Los Angeles, has hit the servers. It's a 2-site map with no map gimmick or anything like that, no ropes or shoots or anything different. It features tight corners, a scrappy mid area that demands control, and it does have one door, but it is breakable. Here are a couple of clips. And if that wasn't enough, Breeze has also returned to the competitive map pool, and it has a lot of changes. Honestly, it feels like an entirely different map, and it looks like it's going to play like an entirely different map as well. Check it out. The two additions of Sunset and Breeze means that there are two maps that have to dump out of the map pool. Fracture and Pearl are both out of the rotation, leaving us with the following: Ascent, Bind, Breeze, Haven, Lotus, Sunset, and Split. And if that wasn't enough content for you, not only do we have new maps, but we also have a new bundle, the Imperium bundle, and a new Battle Pass. Personally, my favorite Battle Pass that's ever been out in the game. Take a look. If you want more info on the Imperium bundle or the Battle Pass, there's a YouTube video that I just put out yesterday that goes way more in depth, so take a look at it, and that link is going to be in the comments as well. Additionally, on top of the bundle, on top of the Battle Pass, on top of the new maps, there's a fat new patch, and it's already been controversial, to say the least. Jet took some pretty hard nerfs. Most ults cost more than they did previously, and it feels like there's just a general trend towards focusing more on gunplay than anything else when it comes to Valorant. Again, it's a really big patch. I highly recommend you read it. Please read it and look at it before you go into your ranked games for the sake of your teammates. Take a look, figure out what's going on in the game, and then proceed to inting in your games. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of This Week in Valorant. I tried to keep it compact because there's a lot in here. I don't know that I succeeded or not, to be honest. There's just a lot to discuss. But I guess that's why this show was created. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.